Okay, so we're going to jump back into linear equations and lines, and we're going to use the algebra that we used yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. It's kind of our base going forward. So if we take a look here, let's review y equals mx plus b. That's our equation of a line. Now the x and the y sometimes change depending on what we need. The m parts are slope, or rise over run. Our b is our y-intercept, or our initial value. X and y in this equation are just coordinates on the line. Okay, just coordinates on the line. So if we take a look at this graph here, this graph has a point and line of 1, 6. So if we take a look right here, I said 1, 6. Ah, shoot, that should be 1, 5. All right, so let's change that right now. So that should be all right. Okay, should be 1, 5. Let's just cross this out. Okay, as in x is 1, y is 5. Okay, so you can use the point, I should say point in there as I edit my note right now, to find the m or b if you have m or b. Okay. So for example, we're going to run a point where, an example where we know a point and we know a slope. We have to find our b. Okay. So first things first, we know our point. Video is not getting off to the best start. We know our point is xy. Okay. I mean, yeah, xy. So this here is x, here is y. So let's write our numbers, and we're going to erase that. Okay. And our slope is 2. So we have everything but our b, but we can just solve for it. So here's the original equation. Right? Let's plug in everything we know. M is 2 times 1 plus b. So 5 equals 2 plus b. Rearrange it, they got 5 minus 2 equals b. And then our b is going to equal 3. We rewrite it here. mx plus b. We're just going to fill in our blanks. So our m in this case is 2. Our b, which we just found out, is 3. And we can kind of confirm it here. If we look here, our y-intercept is 3. Okay. Now let's work with the exact same item. Okay. With the exact same item. This time we're going to pretend we don't know this. So we know this is 3, we know this is 1, we know this is 5. And we're going to solve for the one we don't know. So as long as we have 3 of the 4, we can solve for the 4th by just rearranging. So there we go. Now let's plug in everything we know. Y equals, I'm going to switch the order of this just because it's easy. So we have 1m plus 3. Okay, and since it's 1m, we don't have to write that m, write that 1, so we can just get rid of that 1. Now it's rearrange 5 minus 3 equals m equals 2. So our equation for this, is going to be right. We just leave those blank, and we're going to fill them in. 2x plus 3, and we know that our slope is 2 because that's what we had here. But also, if we take a look at what happens here, we go up 2 over 1. So there's an example of how to do the two questions we're going to work on today. Okay? We take a look, we figure out what we have, we figure out what we don't have, then we just rearrange and solve, and then rewrite your equation in slope-intercept form over here. So let's do this one here. So we have a point of 410 and a y-intercept of -5. So remember, this is x, this is y, and our y-intercept is -5. That's going to be our b value. So I like to organize it like this. So let's put -5 there, 4 there, and 10 here. Then my equation is y equals mx plus b. Let's plug in everything we know. I need to slow down because there are going to be people doing their notes. So this here is 10 equals, our m value is what we don't have. But we do have an x value of 4. So I'm just going to put it in front there. You could write it as, if you want to keep it the exact same, you could write it as m4. It just looks weird since we've always been writing the coefficient in front. So I just like to write this. It's going to be -5. So now let's rearrange. So we take the 5 moves over first. It becomes a +5 equals 4m. So 15 equals 4m. And now we divide by the coefficient. So in this case, m equals 15 over 4. Or it could also equal, what's that, 3 3/4? Or it could also equal 3.75. All those would be right answers. Now, let's write our equation. Y equals mx plus b. So y equals blank x plus blank. Our b we have already, which is -5. And I'm going to get rid of this because going plus minus just confusing. And then let's plug in my slope is 15 over 4. And that's what we're working on today. It's just rearranging things and kind of working it through. So this time, what do we have here? We have a point, so that's our x and that's our y. And we have a slope, and our slope is our m value. So if we write everything in here now, this is going to be 3 over 4. X is -8, and y is 5. And here's what we're finding. So let's go through and fill in our blanks. Okay, so this is 5. Our slope is -3 over 4. That's going to be multiplied by our x, which is -8 plus b. Okay, so there's a couple ways to work this here. The most efficient way is look to reduce the fraction. And take a look here between the two things being multiplied. See if they're multiples of each other, which these happen to be. Okay, and you go, okay, how much does the bigger number go into the smaller number? So in this case, 4 goes into 8 twice. So I can actually scratch this out and write -2 here and scratch this out and go 1. That's because if I were to come up here, I'm actually going to put 8 over 1 here. We're just going to make that a fraction. Remember, when we multiply fractions, we go straight across. So that equals 24 over 4, right? And then we reduce this to -6, or +6, because they're both negatives. Okay? But if you look here, we kind of jump that step, because -3 times -2 is 6 plus b. Then let's rearrange. So it's going to come over. 5 minus 6 equals b. So b equals negative 1. Then let's rewrite the equation. Y equals mx plus b. So y equals blank x plus blank. So our b is negative 1. And this is minus 3 over 4. Let's get rid of that extra plus there. And away we go. I got a couple different ones here. So this one here is kind of next step, right? So this says, write an equation that is parallel to a line that has a point of 4, 10, and negative 5. So we need to write something that's parallel, okay? That's our second step. Okay, first step is we need to find the equation of this line first. So let's do that just like we've done before. So xy, so x is 4, 10, our y-intercept is negative 5. So y equals mx plus b. Let's fill everything in then that we need to know. Not that we need to know, that we do know. So that equals 10 equals 4x minus 5. So I just do the same question over again, it kind of looks like it. So then take this over, 10 plus 5 equals 4x, 15 equals 4x, and that would equal 15 over 4 equal, x. I just realized I used x all the way through here, where that's actual variable we're finding is m. Just so used to finding x. So there is our equation, our slope of the original line. So our original line looks like this, blank x plus blank. Fill in my m, 15 over 4. Fill in my b, which is minus 5. Let's get rid of that plus. Now, the question now we're done first step, right? Second step asks for a parallel line, right? And we know that parallel lines have the slope that's the same and a y-intercept that is different. So for my new line, my slope's still going to be 15 over 4. And let's make my different one 44, because that's my favorite number. So the equation for this one, y equals blank x plus blank, I plug in my slope, 15 over 4, and I plug in my new y-intercept. There we go. So we're just we figure out what we have, figure out what we need, rearrange, solve for it, and then work from there. So this one says write the equation for a line that's perpendicular, okay, to the point, to the line that has this. So remember, second step. So don't worry right away. So let's figure out what we have here. Oh, do we have a slope? Yes, it's 4. Do we have a b? Nope. We have an x at the 2, and we have a y that is a 8. So we write out our equation, and then we fill in everything that we know. So in this case, we know our y, which is 8. We know our slope, which is 4. We know our x, which is 2. We go from there. So do the math. 8 plus b. Move this over. 8 minus 8 equals b. So 0 equals b. All right, so 0 equals b. That's fine. Let's plug in my info. Blank x plus blank. Our slope is, go back here, it's 4. And our b is 0. But since b is 0, we can just get rid of that. So y equals 4x. Now, second step now. Perpendicular slopes are the negative reciprocal. Okay? What does that mean again? Flip, change sign. So my new slope, if I flip it, because this one is 4 over 1. So it's going to be 1 over 4 and change the sign. So I'm going to put a negative in front of that. And then this number could be anything. I could leave it as anything, but I'm going to write my favorite number, 44, just for fun. And that is my equation there. So hopefully that helps you out. It really links into what we did last week with just solving equations. So figure out what you have, figure out what you need, rearrange for it, and then go back and plug it into the original equation. And that'll get us our new line. So hopefully that helps out, and have a great day.